Welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker. She's the host of the program, and this is the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate. And it does it with Barb Schlinker, the owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed. Now, Barb, with the new settlement with the National Association of Realtors, people are asking if the cost of selling their home will be less or more. And most want to know what they need to do to fix up before selling. Talk to us about that.
Well, Richard, I'm actually excited about the changes of the settlement of the National Association of Realtors because it has been a difficult challenge for us, only because the way commissions are shared is done through the multiple listing service. And once a number is put in there, it's 100% non-negotiable. It doesn't matter what happens in the contract. So that's a problem for some sellers because I just met with one last night. And he goes, "Man, I want that gig. That guy, all he did was his buyer went to the open house and he wrote up a contract and he's going to make thousands of dollars." He goes, "It's amazing." So things are going to change, and I think it's a good thing. So it's going to force the buyers to be able to basically shop around for services, know what they're getting, because as it stands before, it was the fix was sort of in the contracts. The agent got paid. All they had to do was write a contract. They didn't even have to show up, which has been a problem. Now what has changed is starting late July, no commission is going to be offered through the MLS. So how does a buyer's agent know exactly how they're going to get paid? Well, it could be two things. One of them is they could have an agreement with their buyer, because that's the second criteria, is before they show a house, they have to have an agreement with their buyer. That is not the case right now. And that's been one of my most frustrating things is I know that many agents, the very first meeting with that buyer is at the house. The state doesn't require that they verify that they know they can purchase a home. They also don't have to know what the buyer's looking for, and it's an automatic payment if they write the offers. So that's going to change. They're actually going to have a written agreement with their buyer before they show a home, which I think is a good thing, because hopefully they will have a little bit more attention to detail and actually ask the buyer what they're looking for and not waste people's time. I find a lot of people that have to take their dogs and get out of the house, make sure the house is clean, make sure it's ready to show. And so they're doing that for everything, every single showing, and really unaware that these agents are just using an opportunity to open a door as a way to meet a maybe buyer in hopes that they buy something. They don't care what it is. So I think it's going to change, and I think it's going to force the agents to actually negotiate their fee. And either the buyer is going to have to pay it out of their closing cost, or they're going to have to put it in the contract and negotiate it that way. So that is a very good skill that I think most real estate agents should have. And in general, when people sell homes, most people, of course, want the most money when they sell their home. And they want to know what they can put in their pocket when it sells. But the problem is right now that if a seller, they tend to, I see this all the time when I meet with sellers, is they'll say, "Well, I want this much. I'm not going to sell it unless I get this much." I hear these things all the time. And I would love to get them, millions of dollars if I could on each sale. But at the end of the day, it really is what the buyer is willing to pay for the home. So if a seller makes a mistake there and actually overprices their home, and then it sits on the market week after week, showing after showing, without offers, without contracts, according to the national statistics, the seller will actually net less money in the end. And you can't really price your home according to those automated valuations because they're not necessarily accurate. Sometimes they're high, sometimes they're low. Half the time they don't have all the square footage. I just talked to a seller last week that had multiples of old and new pictures, and they're like, "This is not representing our home." I said, "Don't worry. Once we go on the market, we're going to erase all that and it'll look great." And if you actually go into realtor.com and look for your address on there, if you scroll down to something that's called real value, you will actually see three different automated values for your home. They could vary as much as $100,000. So pricing is an art and it's a skill and it takes some expertise. And it brings in a whole lot of factors. It brings in location, the market, the age, the condition of the home. What does your competition look like? What kind of improvements have you made? What about the neighborhood? So generally the market's going to tell you right away if you got that right. Let me show you some examples. I had a home last year, beautiful home over in the northwest part of town, and there was a similar sale that sold for over $1 million. And this home was pretty. They had updated the kitchen. The master bath was amazing. Had a beautiful treed lot, gorgeous landscaping, the whole thing. And we had buyers looking at it and we had offers made, but the offers were far lower than the asking price, even after we lowered the price. And it took quite a long time to actually get it sold. The first buyer that made an offer came back again and we finally negotiated and it ended up selling for a couple of percentage points below the asking price. But had he priced it right from the beginning, he probably would have had a bidding more and it might have sold for a little bit more. That's why it's important to really know how to price a home very realistically versus optimistically. You have to look at recent sales, compare apples to apples, and most of all the competition. What does the competition look like? Because if you all of a sudden have a whole bunch of similar homes for sale, the buyers are going to look at all of that and they might miss your home. Promotion is absolutely critical too. So if you are thinking of making a move in the next 3 to 6 months, this is one of the services we actually provide is we come take a look at your home. We'll bring similar sales. We'll give you tips on what to do and what not to do to get the most money when you sell your home. We'll go over all the closing costs, show you exactly how much you'll put in your pocket when it sells, and give you a great idea what the market's doing right now. Typically, as far as what it costs to sell a home, for most people, if they have a mortgage, the largest expense is the actual mortgage, paying off the mortgage. Commissions are negotiable, but you got to factor in commissions, settling up taxes, which usually works out to be a half a year to 1 year of property taxes. And in most cases in this market, the seller pays title insurance. If the home has an HOA, they have to settle up the HOA dues. So you can, plan on average about 7% of the actual sales price is going to be what it would cost to sell your home. You can do more or less, but it's all about value and price when it comes to that. And then another question that we have all the time, of course, is fixing up a home. So when we come back, we're going to talk about that. Like, do you really have to fix everything up when you sell a home? And if you are thinking of making a move and you'd like to get a free in-home consultation, give us a call, 719-301-3900, or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, host of the program and the proprietor of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. You can listen to replays of this show anytime on all of the major podcast platforms. Plus, just go to her website, barbhasthebuyers.com. Barb Schlinker, if you're thinking of making a move, call Barb at 719-301-3900. Now, Barb, does a home seller have to fix up everything before they sell their home?
Well, actually, Richard, a home seller doesn't have to fix up anything if they sell their home. We actually have a program where we can get you multiple cash offers on your home and you don't have to fix a single thing. Now, if the home needs some work, some of these cash buyers will make a lower offer than a home that doesn't need work. But let's say you're just going on the market and you're going to do the traditional sale and wait for the live in your home buyer to make an offer. Typically, that's the way you get the most money when you sell, but not always. And my experience has been that if the home needs a lot of work, buyers will skip over homes that need work. According to the National Association of Realtors study, 40% of buyers won't even take a look at a home that needs a work unless, now there's one exception, unless it's priced low enough where they can go in and do the work themselves. So it's all about pricing at the end of the day. If the home is priced appropriately and it's move-in ready, generally it's going to sell pretty much at full market value. But if you overprice a home, even if it's pretty, it may not sell. So you have to really look at the competition. You have to really look at what similar homes are selling for in that price range and what's available, because that's what the buyers care about. And that's part of what we do. And then once you go on the market's going to tell you right away if we missed it. In general, I had a home a couple years back that was in a beautiful neighborhood. It had spectacular views, but it really was an 80s, 90s time warp. It needed all kinds of updating, lots of dramatic color. I mean, we're talking for that price point, it needed new counters. It had tons of wallpaper. All those things cost a lot of money. And before they went on the market, they got an appraisal. And the appraiser said the house was worth 1.25 million, but it didn't sell anywhere near that. In fact, it ended up selling about 400,000 less than that because it needed so much work. The showing activity is going to give you a clue. The feedback activity is going to give you a clue. But on the opposite side of the spectrum, if you price your home below market value and let the market gravitate towards full market value, that works as well. So that's part of what we do is we sit down with our home sellers and we give them options about what to do. I just sold a home down in Fountain, and it was completely gutted. I'm showing pictures of it right now. I mean, the basement is down to the studs, basically. The cabinets are gone in the kitchen. The lot is nice, the yard is nice. And so what the seller did is they priced it almost 40% below repaired value. We got 30 offers on that home, and it ended up selling for 10% higher than asking price. So it's always going to gravitate to whatever the full market value is. And you really need to pick the right agent that understands pricing appropriately, because it depends on pricing and the home. The home will sell if it's priced right, and that's part of what we do. Not every home sells during the listing. There are some homes that go on the market and then they expire because either the seller decided not to price it to market, or the agent said, oh, your home is worth so much. And I've seen that before, where the clients will tell me after their home doesn't sell and they call me to help them. They'll say, well, this agent said my home will sell for that much. That's why we priced it that way. We didn't have any showings for 4 months. I didn't hear from them at all. And then all of a sudden I've had enough. It's time to make a change. And then when the home gets priced appropriately, it sells in just a few weeks. So it's all about the 4 P's: preparation, pricing, promotion, and picking the right agent. So if you'd like to find out more about that, give us a call, 719-301-3900, or you can visit barbhasthebuyers.com. Not all agents are the same. One of the things that we're offering on our YouTube channel, which you can just go to YouTube and search Barb Has the Buyers, there is a whole video series on what to do and what not to do to get your house ready for sale. And you're welcome to go view that at any time or call us at 719-301-3900. Richard?
You're listening to Barb Schlinker on the Your Real Estate Voice show. And if you're thinking of selling your home and you want to get the most amount of money when you sell, call Barb, 719-301-3900, or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. Short break. When we come back, we'll be talking about what are the most common reasons that a Colorado home fails to sell. Plus, we'll be talking about Barb's hot new listings. You don't want to miss those.